Welcome back, everyone. This is Jasmine with a Notch Higher Living YouTube channel, and I am so excited. This is the the third week in January now, and I have a special guest. I am happy to have another sister friend on, Dionne Nicholls-Germain. Hi.
Oh, hello. Good to be with you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Dionne and I, we were talking. I've interviewed Dionne on different platforms, and I was just looking. I was like, "Where's Dionne?" When I was looking through my videos, so I was not, um, I was not saddened, but I was just like, "Where's Dionne's video? Did I delete it?" But it was for other platforms. So you have another special guest today, and I wanted to acknowledge there is, for the first time with me interviewing anyone, I am having a funeral service. And I would like to let you know the funeral service is for unforgiveness. That is right. We are putting to rest unforgiveness. And we'll do it as much as we have to. So that's why all Black in solidarity, because unforgiveness has got to go. And that is why my friend is on today, because she has a book. It is called, hold on just 1 second. I'm going to get it ready. There we go. The 90-Day Conquering Unforgiveness Journal. So here we are. Dionne, I'm going to ask you, would you please share with people who you are, what you're all about, and then we'll get started with this interview.
Sure. So, first and foremost, I am a daughter of the Most High. I am a wife. I am a mother. I'm also a bonus mom. It doesn't get better. And I'm a former fashion executive turned social entrepreneur turned coach. You can imagine there's a whole story here. But yes, I'm an executive coach. I've been doing that for about 5 years now. I have a very special place in my heart for women, so female leaders, especially moms who are trying to juggle a whole lot and still want more and healthy ways to balance it all. Um, and then more specifically, as I've been on this coaching journey, it's evolved where now I even more specifically focus on the area of forgiveness. And I teach it from a standpoint of not just it's just not this is not this woo-woo stuff. But I actually 'cause it's a difficult, messy kind of right nebulous thing that we have to deal with. But the
Yes.
way I approach it, because I also bring it into the corporate space, that I make it really doable, actionable, and practical. And so I created a program called the Conquering Unforgiveness Mastermind, which has been really a meaningful thing to take, some of my personal testimony and then working with a coach with executives across nations, to really see how important this conversation of forgiveness is, not to mention in our personal lives. And then from that, I'm like, how do I get this into more hands? I became an author of a book called The 90-Day Conquering Unforgiveness Journal. And then whenever I have an opportunity like this, I am also a speaker. So I've spoken for the government of Canada. I've taken this to the Chamber of Commerce, wherever they'll let me, senior citizen homes, women's conferences, church, retreats. Took this to South Africa for an executive leadership retreat.
I
So
love
yeah,
it.
between speaking, the book, the programming, that's my focus, is to bring this message of forgiveness around the world.
I love that. I love that. And before I ask you the first question, I'm going to read something directly from Dionne's book. It says, forgiveness has the power to help us move forward. When we're able to forgive ourselves and others in our personal lives and in the workplace, that's what she just mentioned, we can become more resilient, emotionally intelligent, growth oriented leaders who cultivate psychologically safe environments in which teams, families, and communities feel they have permission to be their authentic selves, creating fertile ground for deeper connection, trust, success, and innovation. So, Dionne, with all of
Yes.
this that you've shared with us and with everything that you're talking about with forgiveness, why forgiveness and why now?
Well, I'll say this. What did you learn about forgiveness growing up?
You have to forgive because you don't want to hold grudges. So, from a Christian background, it was like, don't hold or don't harbor unforgiveness. So, just forgive. And
Yeah.
literally, that's what I learned, forgive.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody did you wrong, forgive. That's pretty much what I learned.
You're one of the lucky ones. At least you got some direction. Many
Yes,
times
that
when
was.
I ask this question,
Mhm.
most people say nothing. They may just notice that Auntie Jane is no longer sitting at the Thanksgiving Day table this year, or all of a sudden at work, someone just keeps ignoring you and not giving you the report that you need. Um,
Mm,
Lately, we can't even have a conversation around politics. It gets so divisive, whether
yeah,
it's at the workplace or at home. How many marriages are suffering, right? Co-parenting. I mean, some of the horror stories that I've heard, and I've lived through it, and that's why part of why I'm so committed to this conversation.
makes
But
sense. Yeah.
now, yes, now more than ever, our communities, our families, our marriages, we need forgiveness more than ever. I feel like just with all the stats that you hear, our families are under attack. Marriages are under attack. And that is the foundation of family. And that is the foundation then of community. And so if we don't start healing more, loving more, having more empathy and compassion, I don't know where this world will be. So for me, that's why I say, what would the world be like if millions of people were forgiving themselves and others more easily? What would there be more of? What would there be less of if we could practice forgiveness on a regular basis with each other, as I mentioned? And sometimes the hardest one is with ourselves. Because another thing I found out is that there's a lot of purpose on the back burner or purpose that's been blocked because we're holding on to so many negative emotions. And so we're not actually freed up to step into our purpose because we have so much getting in the way.
Yeah, and that is so powerful, especially when we think about the headlines and what just recently occurred, the end of 2024, and how a CEO was gunned down because I would say of unforgiveness. And when you're talking about what would it be like, what would the world be like if millions of people were really showing and exuding forgiveness? Think about that. A man, a CEO would still be alive, and that's just one person. So, with unforgiveness and with forgiveness with this movement, what would you say to that person who says that may be just like what we saw in the headlines? In this gentleman's case, he may say, but you don't know my situation. That forgiveness won't work in my situation. How would you, how do you dispel that conversation, or how do you approach that conversation?
Well, first and foremost, I'll say that forgiveness is for you. So we don't realize when we're harboring unforgiveness and really holding on to those negative emotions, the resentment, the bitterness, when that takes root, it's actually taking a toll on us. You may have heard that saying that it's like drinking rat poison and thinking the other person will die. Literally, when we're harboring unforgiveness, we are carrying the 100-pound weight. And so it really is impacting us mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally, financially, spiritually. I could keep going.
Yes, you could. Yes.
Yeah. So it's really far reaching when we are not able to forgive. And of course the opposite is true when we do. Now, some would say there's just some things that are off the table. And I'm here to tell you there's not. At the end of the day, and so this is some of what I teach in my program is that we do have to face those emotions because forgiveness really is about processing. It's not about suppressing emotions. compartmentalizing, but it really is facing what is and doing the work so you can be free, so you can be at your highest and best. So many of you may have heard me say that I believe that forgiveness is one of the highest forms of personal transformation. It's actually a tool of empowerment when we can forgive. And I'll use a story. And some would say, for example, infidelity off the table. But I can sit here and tell you that I chose forgiveness in that situation. Um, Unfortunately, my son's father did step out of the relationship. We were together for 17 years, college sweethearts. I thought we were going to get married. And we had one son together. We have one son together. And not only did I choose to forgive, because I knew for me to actually create my next chapter, actually be able to let good love in, because I believed I was worthy of that. For me to, I was in that 40 range at the time, for me to be able to open myself up for the blessings that I believe I was also worthy of. But not to mention, I knew what I was committed to, and that was my son's well being. So, above and beyond the circumstances, I knew for my son to be able to be co parented in a way that's healthy and loving. And that's, I'm happy to say, what we were able to create. I even went into business with him. Doesn't mean you have to do that. I'm just saying. But what's possible, the unlimited possibility, the rippling effects of healing that take place when you do. And so sometimes you've just got to connect to something bigger, because commitment is something that can anchor you. And when you're making choices from there versus your emotions, which can keep you stuck and in the swirl, physically, your brain is ruminating, mentally keeps replaying it. You're not fully present. You can't be, fully in the moment. You can't appreciate what you do have. And it's causing all kinds of stuckness, okay? All kinds of unhealthy behavior. So at some point, do I make the decision so that I don't have to keep defining my life by something that happened in the past? And so when you can connect to something like your core values, your beliefs, commit to something that's like I said, bigger than you. And for me, in my case, it was I wanted my son to know that he had both parents that loved him and had his back. And so that's why I forgave. So he could thrive, right? So, yes, even infidelity. I mean, we celebrate holidays together. We've been on vacations together because I chose forgiveness. We even aligned our gifts at one point and launched a nonprofit. And thousands of young people have been impacted. So we've been rewriting our legacy and putting good into the world. I'm here with you today because I'm freed up from all of those negative emotions and able to use the pain, turn it into purpose, and actually help free other people up. But imagine I had gone bitter woman scorned because I said, well, infidelity, no way. That's another category. There's a woman I love to talk about because when I launched my book, I now live in Connecticut after living in New York for over 20 years. And when I was deciding where to launch my book, I love a vineyard. And actually not even for the wine, but I love cheese, but I love nature. I love a vineyard. And so it was Forgiveness by the Fire, where we were in a pergola under the stars by the fire, by these little, fire pits. I got these branded blankets. It was really cozy, and we had a nice fireside chat. It was amazing. But when I was sharing it, I never realized, because I was new to Connecticut at the time, that it was actually located in Sandy Hook. And when I say Sandy Hook, what immediately comes to mind?
Wow, the shootings.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
said to myself, talk about forgiveness. When someone had brought it to my attention. And so I started doing some research. So there must have been some parents, some people who were, uh, you know, uh, impacted,
Hmm.
who lost a loved one that must have chosen forgiveness. And there was one woman in particular that really stood out for me. And her name is Scarlett Lewis. And she lost her 7-year-old in that shooting. Some would say, right? How could she forget the gunman? That's off the table, right? It was a journey for her. I know we don't have all the time in the world, so I'll give you the summary. She realized if that young man had received healing, nurturing love, which were the last words, surprisingly, her son had written on a chalkboard on their fridge, that shooting wouldn't have taken place. And so she's now created a program called Choose Love, where she goes all around the country. And it's a social emotional intelligence program that has now touched millions, over 2 million young people from K through 12. And part of those proceeds, because it's a nonprofit, go to support her foundation that keeps her son's name alive.
Wow. Wow.
She
Wow.
chose forgiveness. Look how many people have been impacted, saved. There's so many stats to show shootings, violence, addiction, all of those things go down when kids are equipped with these social emotional skills early. And all the good things go up. So that's why I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you that really there isn't anything off the table. It's at some point you make that deliberate decision to free yourself from that prison, free that person from that stronghold you still have on them. So you can be free, have the peace, the joy, and the possibility that is absolutely available to you when you choose to forgive.
Dionne, that is so powerful. And I did not intend this to be, but when I said I wore all black in solidarity for a funeral for unforgiveness, you sharing that story, it really puts it in perspective of why we need to let unforgiveness die. Too many people have died, unfortunately, because of unforgiveness. So I hope everyone was able to hear the the power and then the power of forgiveness, the power of what happens when we are able to forgive. What I love that you said, it is a process. And I am going to ask Dionne in just a moment to walk us through, just give us a brief overview because I want you to get her book. So I do not want to give you everything, but I do want you to be intrigued enough so that you can say, hey, let me get that book. And I want to let you know too, the reason why I have Dionne, one, because we're sister friends and we have been connected by a worthy community because we both connected in a worthy community. And Dionne is one of the resources that I have in the workbook Healthy by Design. Because did you mention or did you know that she mentioned that or forgiveness, it hits and it impacts emotionally, financially, physically, relationally, and she kept going on spiritually and vocationally. And those are the 6 areas. I may have forgotten one, but the point is that when you're connected with, did you hear the community choose love? Over 2 million people have been connected because someone dared to choose to forgive. So, in Dionne's 90-day Conquering Unforgiveness journal, Dionne, I'm going to have you when you share, if you hold up your book, because I don't want the light on my side to be deterred. But if you could just give us an overview of the book. Everyone, I have been through it 3 times. So it's a 90-day book, and I actually have to start it in 2025, but I always have to for simplicity's sake, I have to try start everything on the first day of the month because it just helps me out that way. But the book, it really is a journal, and I want Dionne to share with you the journal. And then I want people to know because again, this forgiveness portion and forgiveness journey is that it's a process. I told Dionne, I think it was maybe the first time, or maybe I was going into the second time, the beginning part, the way that she had it with a forgiveness, excuse me, inventory or the forgiveness list and emotional framework. I had to let her know I wasn't ready for that part yet. So I want people to know this isn't a, like you said, a woo woo type of thing. This is something that will take dedication, intentionality. It will take prayer and it will take process. So I want Dionne to share with you what you can expect. And then again, I'm going to have all of her information in the description box so that you can purchase this book. Go through it together. She will also share some things that she has going on. So go ahead, Dionne.
Sure. So, the reason I created a journal, I said, you know what? Why not make forgiveness a habit, right? It takes 30 days to make something a habit and 90 days to make it a lifestyle. So anything we do consistently, right, will help us build up that forgiveness muscle. And we already know it's kind of a sensitive topic. So this is a way for you to toe it in daily, right, for the 90 days. And then what's so nice is that, you know, I remember, as you said, for you, like, you know what, I'm not ready for some of the tools yet. My cousin who bought the book, she's like, well, I don't have any big grievances. I don't know if I need this. But then she realized, oh, you know what? What are those little things, those little slights? Maybe you're married, maybe it's at work, and someone, cut you off in the line out at Walmart. But believe it or not, those things start to add up. So imagine you have a daily process for that. But then what if something major does take place? Comes back to your memory, perhaps. But now you've built up that forgiveness muscle. So when you do need to dig deeper for those bigger, breakdowns, you've already built up that resilience. You've already, right, done a lot of work. So the idea is it's a morning. Well, I'll say this. It's only about 30 pages of reading, max, right? So you're not reading a whole book about forgiveness. We get into the science, we get into, what the impact is, as we talked about mentally, physically, spiritually, some of, more in depth into my story, but then we get into the work. And so the way I've set it up is a morning and night routine. And knowing everybody's so busy, it shouldn't be more than, let's say, 10 minutes in the morning, maybe 10 minutes at night. But what a way to just, right, get present in the morning. It really is a mindfulness practice that you're doing daily. And the idea is every day, you'll either have an affirmation, forgiveness affirmation or quote to get you primed, get your heart primed around this. Because as we said, you may not be fully prepared yet to forgive. So you get to use this book any way you want to. There's no one way. So what if right now that's all you can do is just start affirming the direction you want to go? That could be enough just to get started. Or what if I had one client who said, for now, Dionne, I can only do the gratitude piece. Do you know how powerful gratitude is? And there's a very specific reason why I'm giving you both in here, because let me tell you, it's like double whammy. Because when you practice gratitude, you also get the positive impact mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So you're doing both gratitude in the morning as well as where can I forgive myself? Because many times so many people only think about the outward facing forgiveness, but we also need to practice checking in here as well, especially for high performing high achievers. You might have seen the tagline of my book. Because just working with all these high performing execs around the world, Man, what I have found out is we are really, really hard on ourselves, right? So that's why you have, your quick gratitude list in the morning, and you'll find out there's always something to be grateful for. And that's why you practice that gratitude in the morning, because especially when we're in the swirl of something really difficult and challenging, hurtful, actually gratitude helps rewire your brain to still find the good, the light in the darkness. So that's why I put gratitude in here. And then taking time to check in, because in the busyness of life, how often are we really doing that? Especially when we're so used to serving others.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got your nighttime routine. So, if all that takes place during the day, isn't it nice before your head hits the pillow to do like a clearing exercise? And so that's where the prompts come in here for the nighttime, right? So, in what situations did you practice forgiveness today? And guess what? Nobody's giving you a gold star or, giving you an F depending how you answer these things. This is for you. Be as authentic as possible because it's for your healing. It's your personal transformation at stake. So yeah, where did you practice? And maybe where you didn't. But we're not doing this with judgment. We're doing this to get curious, right? What might have got in the way if you didn't? Because then it gives you an opportunity to see maybe where I can make some shifts, changes, right? The more we do this. And then what can we learn or be grateful for from today's situation? Because the idea is the more we can um, uh, get a fresh perspective or take some time to, you know, um, analyze, assess what's happening, it gives us an opportunity to gain wisdom. Many a time, and I'll say this, even my ex, he was one of my greatest teachers. I am so thankful. It's actually the most difficult situations that are being used to elevate us, stretch us, right? Perfect us. So there's some gold I'm supposed to get. Or when I'm pointing at somebody else, you might help me. How many are pointing back at me?
That'll be 3.
Yeah, there's more. So even in every situation where you just want to play the blame game, it's what they did,
Mhm.
usually there's something I need to look at for myself. What do I need to clean up? What am I supposed to get from this? So, what's the wisdom? Or what can I be grateful for? Instead of being bitter, what can I be grateful for what I was bitter for? Boy, when
That's
you can
good.
get there,
That's good. That's good.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's good. A- And you talk about the priming effect. Um, I think I share this with you. One thing I noticed as I started going through the process, for me in the evening, what typically was something that I noticed was when I was in the car. And I was just like, I don't have road rage, but in the car, I have a lot of issues with the way people drive. And I say that because I start, like you said, getting curious. I start noticing it more and more. And I'm not saying that now I'm on this other side of the rung, but now I'm more curious where I even ask, I'm irritated because I felt like I was slighted in
Mm,
understanding why I'm so irritated. So I believe what your practice helps people with, I know it helped me, like as I'm more curious in larger situations, like you said, I think sometimes we don't think if we have a large grievance, we're good. But it's the little grievances that stack up and we never deal with them. So you asked me the question, what did I learn? As you've been talking, I was told to forgive. It's almost like don't have sex before marriage. Like don't cuss. Don't do this. I was just told, but when you're talking about process, I wasn't taught how to process forgiveness. So I just want to clarify that for people. It was just like it's almost like go to church. I didn't you have to be discipled or taught to have a relationship with God. So your process helps people to go through a practice and it helps them to see what it actually looks like from a granular level and from a very practical, tactile, like real deal life is happening, life is lifey type of thing. So it's not about a performance, or it's not performative at all. It's really, like you said, authentic to you. So, one thing I am going to do, I appreciate you sharing with people because I do want everyone who can hear this, who will hear this, I definitely want you to give this workbook one set of 90 days. Please give that gift to yourself. You know how people say gift others? I'm going to say gift it to yourself. Gift yourself 90 days to go through the 90-day Conquering Unforgiveness journal. You are worth it. Even for some people, because I don't want to give anybody out, Dionne. If people say, but it says for high performing high achievers, if you don't consider yourself a high performing high achiever, I'm going to challenge that. You have breath in your body, so you're a high performing high achiever. Okay? So, everybody, this is for everyone. And the high performing high achievers, you know who you are specifically. But for those who don't think they are, this is for you too. Go through the 90 days, gift it to yourself, and then I will promise you, you will become a gift to all those around you. So, what I want to do, we are almost at the end of this interview. It went by so quickly. What I would like for us to do is to listen and just check in with Dionne to see what's going on. She's been telling me some of the things that she has. I just want her to share with you. I'm going to sit back again, listen to her, let you know what she has going on, how people can connect with you, and then I will have everything in the show notes so that you will be able to connect with this gem of a woman. Go ahead, take it away, Dionne.
Oh my goodness, from one gem to the next. um, yeah, so 2025 kicking off pretty exciting stuff. Um, one, my husband and I have decided to start a monthly uh series called Love and Legacy. And he's an insurance broker and real estate broker. I'm a coach. I talk about forgiveness. So how would we bring this all together? But the idea is, as we talked about earlier, that we are in relationship with everything, including money. And so we're bringing on different guest speakers, we're bringing different topics ourselves to really support whether you're married, single, engaged, dating, married, like we need these holistic tools, right? So every month we're going to have a different topic, flip-flopping between finance or wealth building and I should say this, it's legacy building, whether that's emotional legacy, wealth legacy, relationship legacy, right? If you've had divorce as the legacy for the last few years, you want to break that and create a new legacy. If lack has been the legacy, we want to break that, right? So we're going to have all kinds of exciting topics. So this month, we actually have our marriage counselor. He's also a pastor, a relationship coach, author, and he'll be talking about power couples in the sense of how do we work together, thrive together without losing together, right? So he's going to bring us some really cool strategies. I'm also collaborating with a young lady. Her name is Courtney Beck, and she's launched a company called Plenty of Positivity. So outside of being a professor for Florida State University, she has this passion to bring more positivity into the world. And so she's launching a book club and she's launching it with my 90-day journal. So anyone who buys the book, one thing, what do we know? We start out hot in the new year, right? I don't want people to just buy the book and it collects dust. So why not come join us for 90 days, right? You'll be working your book for 90 days, but getting support 3 times. So once a month, we'll meet on a Thursday. So it's launching February 27th. So the last Thursday of every month. And you're going to get coaching, community, live support in real time, strategies, right? So accountability. So that's, and I'll make sure I give that information. And then the other thing I'm really excited about is that I have a book that's launching on the 9th. Stay tuned. It's on Amazon. It's called Threads of Wisdom. And it's a collection of basically wisdom from 15 female CEOs, Christian female leader trailblazers. So each one of us, I'm very honored to be in the company of these women. Um, will be sharing their story, how did they get into their particular field, um, their heart for God and how he's moved in their lives. But it's not really been done before to have a resource like this for Christian female leaders. And so I hope you also go and get that book and help spread the word. So I'm really excited about that. So Threads of Wisdom, Trailblazers.
Awesome, awesome, and amazingly awesome, ma'am. And it's interesting because as you were talking about the book and your second book and how it's coming together, I started this YouTube channel during the pandemic and I labeled myself a book nerd. And I said, I read books. That's what my channel is going to be about because people talk about what you love. And now, my first real interview, and I say real outside of myself, it was with my childhood friend, and she's an author. So I'm listening to you, and I'm like, it's not far from who I am. Another author is sharing with us wisdom. And think about it, the Bible is a book that has withstood the time and the challenges of our time and day and age. So as you're speaking, I am listening to like just the wisdom and the beauty of how God is placing everything together. And really your kickoff in your first book was about forgiveness, and you share your story and you share your real truth about having to go through that process. So as I'm listening to you, I'm seeing how like those like a tapestry, they have the at the back they have all of the threads, how maybe the threads at the back it's gnarled and it's mangled and it doesn't look like much, but when you turn that tapestry over, it's a beautiful like mural or whatever is on the front. So I'm watching you in real time, like saying, wow, this is an amazing tapestry of how things are all coming together. So if you did not hear, there is something monthly coming over for legacy building or legacy faith finance and for relationships, for wealth building, legacy, you said, and relationships. So that's monthly. Again, all of this will be in the show notes. But what I am really, really wanting everyone to hear is that the power of forgiveness is something more than you will ever experience, but you have to experience it. So, more than what you thought you would experience, that's what I would say. But it's so, so important that you take the step towards forgiveness and the process to walk through unforgiveness. I will never say that this is an easy process, ever. And at the same time, as I'm sitting with you listening to Dionne, I would have never met Dionne if I wasn't willing enough to get into a different space. And I'm saying this specifically because I think some people need to hear, just because you don't have it in front of you, sometimes you have to go outside of what you know. And sometimes you have to connect with people that you do not know so that you can get what you need and what is available to you. So I want Dionne to be the closing voice for this interview. And Dionne, if you could just share with people and give them your 30-second, 60-second coaching encouragement about forgiveness and however you want to share with them.
Sure. I guess the last thing that I'll say is that we never get forgiveness perfect, right? You don't have to worry about, am I doing it right? It's a process and it's a practice. And the last thing I'll say, if you take nothing else from this, I'll keep it real short and sweet, that forgiveness, it's not giving up, it's not giving in, it's forgiving to yourself and to others. And as Jasmine mentioned earlier, it just keeps on.
So there you have it, everyone. A Notch Higher YouTube Living YouTube channel. Dionne, thank you, my friend. I appreciate this connection. And I hope that everyone, you'll be able to give this gift to yourself. And then eventually everyone else will be able to get the gift of what you are as you forgive. So until next time, see you later.